Thanks, Claude. And we want to continue to encourage our fans and fan base. I know they'll turn out and be loud and proud, but really with game day there, we want to get everybody to the stadium as early as we can, especially with the last hour of those guys shared in there. I'd also like to congratulate Nakobe for his award, Community Service Award, and National Award. Tremendous job by him. He's a model player and person and student. And for him to get that award, I think it's pretty incredible, the job he's done since being here, and comes from a great family, and it's a great award for the University of Georgia to get recognized, to have a player of that caliber be put on that team. With that, we'll open it up.
Coach, against Vanderbilt, you had a chance to get a look at a lot of your younger players or people that don't always get playing time. How do you think Broderick Jones did at left tackle?
Broderick's been playing a good bit. You know, he's played left and right. He's not playing in situations where we have leads. You know, he's playing in the normal rotation, and he's done a good job. He continues to improve, work hard. You know, he can't make focus errors and focus mistakes. He has a couple of those a game. He's got to get those out of his repertoire. But he continues to get better. I think he's a really good athlete and bends well, and he's got a great upside. So we want to see him keep practicing well, getting better, adding depth to our team, trying to create options for us on our offensive line. And the better he plays, the more options we have.
Coach, I want to ask you about Marcus Roseby-Jackson. I understand he got kind of injured a little bit the other day. And I guess while I'm at it, just the weekly update on Darnell and Ty Key, Arian Smith, and who else am I forgetting here? Dom Blaylock.
Yeah, Darnell and Ty Key are back. You know, we did not take them on the 70 for the main purpose of having them work out. So they got a good workout in Friday. They got a good workout in Saturday here without us being here, and they both ran really well. They're back in drills. They're practicing. They're doing everything this week, full go, so that hopefully we have them available. I mean, I haven't seen them physically practice yet, so we still got to see that. But we're under the expectation they'll be able to go and play and be able to help us. You know, I think that time off can hurt you, especially when you haven't played in quite a while. But we got to bring those guys back and be smart about their reps today and kind of work them back in. Dom still nursing a hamstring. Hopeful to get him back. Rosemius was just an ankle. We don't know how fast it's going to turn around. We're certainly hopeful to get him back. I think that's was that everybody? Yeah, Arian, again, didn't make the trip. He's been bothered by a shin contusion that he had prior to, you know, I guess it was prior to the South Carolina game. It happened in the UAB game, and he's been working his way back, and we got really good recovery by not taking him last week, and we're hopefully he's able to go this week.
Arkansas is evidence that sometimes SEC schedules are tougher than you may think when you first look at them in preseason. With the conference expanding, what do you see in the future for scheduling, and how this is going to affect getting in more of these attractive non-conference games?
Yeah, I think the conference expanding is going to allow us to have more opportunities to play more teams. You know, it's going to depend on what format the presidents and Commissioner Sankey decide to go with, but that's the least of my concerns right now. I promise you that. I don't know what they plan to do. I'm certainly in favor of being able to play more SEC games because I think it's good for the league, it's good for the conference.
Kirby, I wanted to ask you about the scout team. You know, it seems like that comes up with, you know, every guy that we ask about. Just what is it about that scout team here that allows so many guys to go there and develop? You know, is there a particular closeness with those guys down there? And I guess the second part of that, or do you do anything different with that unit here than maybe y'all did at, you know, Alabama or places you've been before?
I just think it's our standard. It's the expectation. You know, we sell it here really hard that the development is important. Well, how do I develop? I can develop by going on the scout team and getting quality reps. There's a lot of our kids that get better faster on the scout team than they do on the first or second unit because the first and second unit doesn't go against the same quality that the scout team gets to go against. I mean, you get better by playing against better competition. I'm a firm believer in that. I've seen it in rec football with my kids growing up. I've seen it in high school football with who you play in the regular season. Seen it in college football. When you play better teams, you get better. So when you play against a better opponent, on the scout team, you get better. And our guys have bought into that. We rarely have guys come complain because if they're not getting reps, they're actually wanting to go get reps. And that's about recruiting the right kind of person into your organization so they get value out of practice. And we take a lot of quality reps on those units.
Hey, Kirby, what are some of the differences between Sam Pittman, your last offensive line coach, and Matt Luke, your current offensive line coach, in terms of philosophies and how they interact with players?
Yeah, I don't really get into comparisons. I think both those guys are so good in their individual rights. It's unfair to really try to compare those two guys. They're both, number one, incredible people, incredible men, strong belief in family. They're everything that epitomize what you want in a assistant coach / O-line coach, because they care about the team more than themselves, and they sell that to their players, and they're both great recruiters.
Coach, I want to ask about what Arkansas was doing defensively. It looks like they're kind of going to kind of an umbrella look a little bit, and just what about that and the challenges that's going to present on Saturday?
Yeah, first off, Barry does an incredible job. Barry is one of the few people that you can say he takes what he has and he gets what he has to work really well. So like he's been different at different places. He's not been the same guy everywhere he's been. He's morphed, he's changed. He's changed with college football. He's innovative. He goes and looks and studies what other people are doing. He forces your hand to maybe play left-handed, where you can't do some of the things you want to do. He's really good at it. And not only that, he's got some really good players doing it. Make no mistake about it. This is not the Arkansas that we played last year. Okay, those guys up front, he's got 3 transfers, 2 from Missouri, 1 from Illinois State, and they play extremely hard, and they're extremely physical, and they create an immense amount of problems for the people they play. And they will not be taken lightly by this group, because they're doing an incredible job of creating problems for offenses. Just look at what they've done with really the 2 big games everybody knows about, but they've really done it in every game.
Kirby, obviously asking about Sam, but just in general, do coaches look at other assistant coaches and say, this guy's going to be a good head coach, this guy may not be a good head coach, this guy will be a good head coach, or does a lot of it, y'all think, just come down to fit, timing, luck, that kind of thing?
I don't know. You're asking from the perspective of who? Does a head coach look at that, or does
what you think, what other people, what's the prevailing kind of thought on that?
I don't know. I really don't know what other people think. I think you've got a president AD role that may think one thing. You've got coaches who may think another, and none of us are necessarily always right? You got agents who think they know. So, I think everybody has their own opinion of what's going to work, what's not going to work, and what's a fit for this place and a fit for that place. And, well, they're geographically here and they're geographically here. I think everybody's got their own opinion. I'm of the opinion a good football coach that is willing to sacrifice his own ego and say, if I can go out and hire people smarter than me and people that are really good coaches, and I'm going to have a hell of a staff and not make it about myself, then you got a chance to be successful. Now, you got to recruit. And you got to recruit well, because nobody does real well without good football players. And I think that's a big part of that role. But Sam fits all that. He's a tremendous leader of men. And that's the number one discipline we're charged with. How do you lead your men, and how much do they believe in you? And that, he's got the ultimate right now going on, because 100% those men in that locker room believe in Sam Pittman, and what he tells them to be true, they believe it, and they go out and play like it.
Kirby, how much value is there that you guys already opened the season in terms of a spotlight game with game day, and your guys are equipped to go through a week of preparation without being distracted?
We hadn't really even thought about that, because I look at it as they've had 2 massive games as well. I mean, there's no kid that's going to say, oh man, this game was bigger than that game. They're all big. I mean, they're all tremendously big games, and they only get bigger from here. So I don't think anybody has an advantage when it comes to that. The advantage we can have is, can our crowd impact the game at 12:01 like they could at 8:01, and that's the challenge that's issued to our fans, to prep for that and to be able to help us, because we got this game at home, so that's supposed to be an advantage, and we got to try to make it an advantage, because the teams that play at home, have across the board this year more than last year with packed stadiums have had some kind of advantage, at least crowd noise wise.
Kirby, what is it about a second-year jump? Obviously, you had a big jump from year 1 to year 2 with your program, and it looks like Sam is having a similar jump in his second year with Arkansas.
Yeah, Sam had a big jump year 1. I mean, he had a tremendous jump, right? From every game he won was one more. So, I mean, he did a tremendous job there and continues to grow it. I think what's really helped Sam is the buy-in and belief that the kids had in him, that he's got either 8 or 9 super seniors. 8 or 9 super seniors makes a big difference, guys. I mean, you're talking about those are Schaefer's and Devontae Whites, 2 of our better, more experienced players. You multiply that times 4, and they got that. And they got 16-something seniors. They got 7 or 8 returning starters on both sides of the ball. I mean, you don't see that in the SEC. And I told people before the season started, write it down. Team with senior leadership, team with experience, team with the most seniors always does well in our conference. And no doubt they're doing the same here.
Coach, when you look at Traylon Burks for Arkansas and just the kind of weapon he is, how big he is, how fast he is, what's that going to present to y'all on Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, he was that way last year. He's a competitor, loves the game. I love the way the guy plays, and he's multi-purpose. He can do so many things. They do a really good job of using his skill set. I think Coach Briles does a great job of making sure that the ball can get to him different ways, and he's a football player.
Coach, you talked about the running backs' explosive plays. That's kind of been a reoccurring theme. After watching the tape, have you seen anything that could help you in that area?
As far as?
I think the longest run from a running back this year is 23 yards.
Yeah, I would say last year it wasn't a whole lot different. Like we weren't really explosive the last 2 years in the run game, and some of that has to do with the way people are playing us. Some of it has to do with RPOs being called, being able to block more on the perimeter. Some of it has to do with the size of our offensive line. You go back, we were a bigger, more physical team when we had the 2 first-round tackles. And explosive runs are about holes and displacement. If you displace people, you get explosive runs. If you don't displace people, you don't get explosive runs. You got to be run efficient. And we've been run efficient. And efficiency, to me, is as important as explosivity. Like if you just said, hey, which ones, they're both important. But for our rushing average and our run efficiency, the way we evaluate it, we've been on par with where we should be. We just haven't been explosive. And I would love to be explosive, but it's not more important than being efficient.
You mentioned a second ago that not having the super big offensive linemen like Ben and Solomon. Is that just because of circumstance, because those guys graduated and you don't have younger guys that are quite at that size? Is it a recruiting shift? Is there anything that's led to that, or is it just circumstance?
I don't think so. I mean, I think that we had a run there where we had 2 really massive, talented tackles, and I think our tackles are good now. They're just probably not first-round picks. And those 2 guys were, and we were really big, and Ben was really big. Tate gave us more size, and we lost him. So it's one of those deals that I think we continue to improve. The guys we got are buying in. We're every team's different. So where we might not be as strong, we might be stronger in some other areas. We certainly have good depth. We've got tight ends with different skill sets than we've had in the past. So we have to try to highlight those.
Kirby, the blessing of having so many running backs that are guys you could use in the game, I guess, where are you on maybe some guys need more carries to develop a rhythm in a game versus spreading out those carries?
Not at that point. I think it's important to stay healthy, stay fresh, use the hot hand, whatever that hot hand may be. Those guys are all contributing factors on special teams. I mean, each one of them is a really good special teams player in his own right and has a role, and those snaps are really valuable for us. And unless there's a hot hand to the point where a guy is out rushing, making more people miss where there's a considerable difference, we're going to use those guys. That's part of the recruitment, right, is that you're not getting 20 to 25 carries because we are able to share the load. I think that helps us from a turnover standpoint, a stamina standpoint, a health standpoint, a morale standpoint. But by all means, if we got a back out there that's making everybody miss, he'll be in the game. But at the end of the day, it's really for us about can you rush the ball efficiently, and what do you do best? Like, what is your skill set best suited to make us successful?
Kirby, how do you evaluate Latavius Brinney after 4 games? And when Tyke's ready in terms of his health, how do you kind of envision his role?
It depends on how Tyke plays and practices, right? He hasn't had the luxury of practicing or playing. He was practicing with us before, and he was rotating with Brinney, but neither guy had distanced themselves to the point of being like elite or being on top of the position to the point where that person has to play more. They were rolling, and we'll see how that goes with these guys. And Brinney's really smart, very experienced, plays multiple positions, doing a good job learning his positions. There's some things Brinney can do better, and he'd be the first to tell you that. He's working on those to improve.
Kirby, I think your Georgia teams are 11-6 in these top 10 games. Obviously, there's a lot of potential distractions in these environments. What have you done well to maybe not let those distractions affect your teams in these types of matchups?
I don't know. Keep the main thing the main thing. I mean, it's a simple saying, but it's really that simple that, I don't think we lost some of those games because they were big games and they were distracted. I think it has a lot to do with the players on the field, and that's what this will come down to, too. It won't be about whether game day's here or how many people are in the stands. I mean, that may impact the crowd noise, but that's not, at the end of the day, the players on the field have to play well, and I'm a lot more interested in the prep of that than I am some secret factor.
You've had freshmen come in and play well before, but for Brock Bowers to be playing this well this early, what separates him from, say, guys like Jake Fromm or George Pickens that have had, Andrew Thomas that have had strong freshman seasons in the past?
Well, I think he's been blessed with other tight ends being out. John's been hurt, Darnell's been hurt. I think he's been given opportunity because we've had some wideouts down. So if you put a lot of those other factors back in, maybe he's not as productive. Maybe we're not as productive. But he certainly works really hard, and those other guys you just mentioned did too. And a lot of being successful as a freshman is opportunity, and he's taking advantage of his opportunity.
Just double checking, Coach. William Pools is back this week.
Yeah.
After 4. Okay, cool.
Yep.
Kirby, outside of the magnitude of this matchup, is there anything that is driving your push to get the fans in there early? The previous noon game kickoff experiences and such.
I would just say the opportunity to show the world Georgia. For me, it's about recruiting, and I know this is the best university on planet, and I want everybody else to know it. So to do that, you need to have an incredible fan base. That our guys have been awesome this year. I just want that to continue with an opportunity to play early. We're going to have tons of great prospects here, and we want to show them the hospitality that we expect every home game to be like for them.
One more question, anybody?
Kirby, you mentioned recruiting. This is a 12 o'clock game. Give me your thoughts on having a 12 o'clock game and how that impacts recruiting.
I think it's all about how your fans handle it. The fact game day's here, I think that helps with recruiting. I think the way our fans handle it and the atmosphere they create will help with it. It gives us probably more time at the end of the game as opposed to, guys being gone and jetting out of here for long drives home. We probably get an opportunity to see them more afterwards. It makes it tougher for guys from faraway distances to get here, obviously, with a 12 o'clock kick. But with each, good thing, there's a negative thing. With all things, that's the case. So we try to make these things positive for us in recruiting this Saturday with a noon kick and make it best we can. Thanks.